Yeah, you're probably not gonna like me.
I gotta break a tackle, bro. Run. Come on, bro. Come on, run.
Was there a moment that you realized, like, hey, I'm pretty good at this thing?
Actually, never.
Play ball. Boom.
Do you remember the first significant amount of money you made outside of a game check?
Yeah. I mean,
What does the pie chart of the business of Austin Ekeler look like right now?
But we're definitely looking like approaching 7 figures. But this is not a small project.
I put money here. That didn't work out. I really f***ed up and I learned from it.
Whoa. Well, let's back up there. This is a really deep topic that I think should get more light.
Today I'm joined by NFL running back Austin Ekeler. Now, Austin's story of going from undrafted out of a Division II school to becoming one of the most exciting playmakers in the NFL has been well documented. But what hasn't been as well covered is what he's doing off the field. Just this year, Austin was named to Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and during his 7-year NFL career, he's quietly amassed an 8-figure portfolio complete with real estate development, startup investments, and even the launch of his very own app Experience. And since almost 8 out of every 10 NFL players faces serious financial hardships after retirement, the most out of any sport, I wanted to learn from Austin what the smartest athletes are doing with their money to avoid going bankrupt. How are they spending it? What mistakes are they making? And what does the future of athletes monetizing their brands even look like? I hope you enjoy this conversation digging into the business behind star running back Austin Ekeler. But first, consider this. Just because you don't have an NFL salary to invest into a startup, that doesn't mean you can't at least invest into a better pair of underwear. I actually know for a fact that if you're watching this right now, you probably have an old, worn out pair of cotton underwear sitting at the bottom of your drawer that you never wear unless you have no other choice. But I'm here to tell you there is a better way to live. What you should do is throw that pair out and invest into something you actually look forward to wearing. I've recently been sporting Chill Boys bamboo boxer briefs, and let me tell you, I've never felt anything softer down there. Plus, they never ride up, chafe, or get stuck, if you know what I mean. And since you made it this far, Chill Boys is giving you 15% off your first order with code TW15. Just go to chillboys.com or click the top link in the description and use code TW15 for 15% off your first order. Now, here's my conversation with Austin Ekeler.
I'm first curious about how somebody ends up in Eaton, Colorado. I was doing some research and looking on Google Images. There's not much in Eaton, Colorado. I don't know a lot of people from that part of the state, much less Eaton. How do you end up there? I know that's not your decision, but what led your family there?
Yeah, good old Eaton, Colorado. Actually, a lot of good times at Eaton, Colorado. At the time I was there, it was a 1 stoplight town. I hear that I now have 2 stoplights. I haven't been back in a while because my mom moved out of that area. But yeah, we ended up there. My mom got married to this guy, and he was a big country guy, and so that was out in the plains of Colorado, and so that's how we ended up in Eaton, Colorado. And then my mom taught at the school there, so she was a teacher, and I would just go in with her to work and then go to school. What
is there to do out there? What does a kid do in Eaton, Colorado?
So one thing you learn when you live in the ranch life. I wasn't like, my closest neighbor was like a mile away. Like, I lived 26 miles outside of Eaton. If you look at Eaton, it's like, oh, there's people there. We'll go out to where there's no people. That's where I lived. And so what that teaches you is how to do a lot with a little. So I had my little brother who was 7 years younger than me, but we'd always be out hitting golf balls around the field. Like, we had like a bunch of open land around us. We'd go play with the dogs. We'd ride horses. We go shoot, we have shotguns and stuff like that. We go shoot like blue rocks and throw them and stuff like that. So we had a good time out in Eaton, Colorado. We made it work.
How much was sports a part of that whole mix growing up? Like, did you spend a lot of time, youth baseball? It's hard for me to imagine there's like a lot of organized youth sporting events in an area like that. Maybe there is.
No, actually, Eaton was a big sports school, or sports town, I should say. There was a lot of support from the community there. And for us, my mom side, she was really into sports. She played sports in college. She played basketball at UCS, is like Colorado Springs College. So she was into traditional sports. Her husband at the time was into rodeoing, so bull riding, team roping, things like that. So we got exposure to both sides. But for the most part, for when we were able to walk, we were playing soccer or t-ball or, basketball. And so my mom kept us active in the sports world.
While Austin reflects fondly on his childhood now, his mom shares a slightly different version of events, describing how Austin and his younger brother hated the early and long hours they spent tending to horses, cows, and chickens, even in the middle of winter. But it wasn't all bad, because Austin learned one very important life skill.
I'm curious what your relationship was to money growing up. You mentioned that part of your motivation to continue playing sports was so that you could get into school. But like even as a kid, like how did your family talk about money? How did you think about money? It seems like you're pretty entrepreneurial focused early on, but
yeah,
you reflect back what that was like for you?
The only reason I was entrepreneurial focused is because my mom's ex-husband now, he had his own fencing company. And he graduated high school. He didn't go to college or anything like that. He had his own fencing company. They did well. He had there was a crew of like 4 to 5 of us, depending on the time of the year. And he was out there building, growing, doing his own thing. And so I was around that type of energy. And so for me, I was like, okay, like I've been around that. I have that within inside of me now because I've been around that type of environment. And now I want to do it for myself. But I want to go to college, learn a little bit more about business and kind of see where I can implement myself. And so there wasn't really any talks of like money or how to manage it. My mom, after the divorce, it's paycheck to paycheck. That's what it is. My mom was working 2 jobs. After she got divorced, just coming to my college games. She would be a teacher, and then on the weekend she would work as a waitress. And so she would work at a restaurant. And so like straight hustle. Like it wasn't like we had excess money or anything like that, because we did not. We had enough to get by, absolutely, and get a few opportunities here and there. But it was more so, hey, you just get what you need and then you continue to push forward. So that was my relationship with money. It wasn't really anything beyond that.
Now, this type of upbringing meant football was often an afterthought for Austin, especially since it never seemed like playing past high school would be an option for him.
Was there a moment that you realized like, hey, I'm pretty good? I know you grew up, you're still not a very tall guy. And so there were probably like certain measurables that you had in your mind of like, oh, I got to get here to play at a certain level. Was there a moment at one of these camps where you're like, oh, like maybe I'm pretty good at this thing?
Actually, never. So when you go to a camp, there's like 300 people there. There's a ton of running backs. And, you can tell the coaches have like their favorites. So they'll have people that they're like watching because they'll be walking around with them. And they're still part of the camp, but they have like this special treatment. And it's like, okay, like that guy must be pretty good, or a recruit or something like that. I was never one of those guys. I was never one that like pulled to the side and asked like, hey, we would love to know more about you or anything like that. I was kind of like one of those guys that was just there basically paying the check for those people. I was there. I was another camp body that was there to try to get better at football. So for me, I didn't really think of anything of it, just because that was all I knew. I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't going to get a scholarship. I was going to get better at football and try something new and being around, some college people and kind of see how that atmosphere is like. And so, yeah, that was never something that ever stood out for me anyway.
Did that upset you at all? I can imagine for a lot of kids, myself included, I was never upset when a coach didn't pay particular attention to me, because I'm like, I'm not very good at whatever it is I'm doing. But I imagine there was some belief inside of you where you're like, you know what, like they should be paying attention to me. Like, were you pissed off about that?
Yeah. So for me, I was not really even thinking about like the NFL. I didn't think about playing sports professionally at all. For me, I wanted to get a scholarship, but to really pay for my education. And I was like, I grew up watching bull riding and bass fishing. Like that's what I was watching growing up. And I wanted to get into school, to get into business, so I could start getting into my entrepreneurial career. Wanted to get into some real estate. Wanted to start going down that path. And for me, when it came to sports, like that was great. I was going to put everything I could into it to help myself get a scholarship, pay for college, because I knew my mom, she ended up getting divorced, single teacher. She's not going to be able to afford college. You know how college is. So I'm like, okay, how can I help myself in that category? Well, let's continue to play sports. And so I was really just focused on what I had at hand, which was my high school career at that time, and really trying to lock in and just do the best I can to maybe end up somewhere. And then for me, them not coming to talk to me or not coming to say anything about me, I really started to recognize it, I guess, after my senior year. Because during my senior year, I had like 2,300 rushing yards, 43 touchdowns, but I was still 5'8", 186 pounds. So I'm not a very big guy. I'm at a really tiny school. But the thing is, they weren't able to measure like my mentality, my heart. And when I put something in, what I've learned in my atmosphere is when you do something, we are going all in. Like we are everything. Like that's everything. And I'm talking about when I'm building fence. When we build fence, we're not just out here just casually. We're running from post to post, pounding post into the ground, clipping fence. And if you're not, you're going to hear about it. And it's the same thing when you're on a football field or on your basketball court. So when you grow up in that atmosphere, that's kind of all you've known. My work ethic is a little bit different than some of my peers. And so that's what has helped me continue to push forward. And it's something you can't measure. So I don't blame them for not coming to me and saying, hey, Austin, like, oh, you got all these amazing measurables. I didn't have the most amazing measurables, but they couldn't measure what separates me the most out of anybody.
Austin ended up playing on varsity all 4 years at Eton, despite only being 5'5" his freshman year and 5'8" by the time he graduated. And even though he finished his high school career having rushed for 5,232 yards, 70 touchdowns, and averaging over 9 yards per carry, he graduated in 2013 as a 0-star recruit with almost no interest from any Division I schools. In fact, his only offers came from 4 Division II programs, 3 of which wanted him to switch to defense or sign as an athlete. However, there was one school that believed in him as a running back. Now, Austin had never heard of Western Colorado University before packing his 2001 Chevy Silverado and driving there the day he graduated high school. But still, the second he joined the 2-1 program, it was clear that he was going to be the best player on the team, if not in the entire conference. But the NFL still wasn't on his radar. In fact, Austin wasn't even a fan of the NFL until 2015.
Growing up, you mentioned going to these Nebraska camps. It doesn't sound like you're much of an NFL fan. Was there a player that you rooted for or idolized, a team that you rooted for, or were you pretty not involved with the NFL until later in your career?
Yeah, I wasn't involved with the NFL until after my junior year. My head coach comes to me, Jazz Baines. He's still there at Western. He's like, hey, man, you got some scouts looking at you. You might have an opportunity to play in the league, man. I'm like, what the heck you mean play it? What do you mean play in the league? You know, for me, I'm like, that's so like taboo. Like, I've never seen a scout on campus before. Like at Western Colorado, there's not been one person that's gone in the NFL besides myself. So this is like so foreign to me. And then I started looking into the NFL a little bit more. I was like, okay, this might be an opportunity for me. But regardless if it is or not, I want to make sure that I have something set up for myself in the education, using my education. And I did. I had an offer for Noble Energy. It was an oil and gas company. I was going to go work as a landman and then start house hacking on the side and getting into real estate. So that was plan A. And then plan B came up and I was like, oh, that doesn't seem too bad. And so I actually went down that road instead.
Talk about the house hacking thing. I'm curious. So as a college student, I don't think I was thinking about house hacking when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. When did that come onto your radar?
Yeah, man. So like for me, I go back to even my freshman year when I was like 18 and I had I would consume a ton of like motivational, like entrepreneurship content. Like I was just into that. And I would come up with like my own quotes and post on Facebook when Facebook was big. This is like before Instagram's really a thing. And so I'm like posting all this stuff about, hey, continue to push yourself and all of that. And I started learning more about, creating, passive, you can take that for what it's worth, income streams for yourself to continue to build wealth. And so I'm looking and I'm learning about real estate. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you can get into real estate as a side hustle. Can't get to it right now full time because I don't have enough capital up front. So I'm like, okay, what can I get into that can give me capital up front? Well, that was going to be working in the energy business for myself and then transferring that capital over into real estate. And so that's where I really started to get the itch of the entrepreneurial side. It was like, okay, how can I build something for myself that will last a long time and then also be able to provide for me over the years? And it wasn't just real estate. Like I tried a bunch of things. Like I was going to start a show. It was called J&A Angling. It was going to be a fishing show with one of my best friends at the time. I thought about doing personal training. I thought about all of these other things. I was like, it relies on too many other people. So let me just try to make something that's something I can establish myself before I start getting into those realms.
But even though he originally considered football to be his plan B, that order quickly changed.
I imagine coming out of Western Colorado, a school where nobody's ever been drafted from before, were there people for you there where you're like, hey, Austin, this NFL thing's like, it's a real thing? Or were you doubting them when they were saying that? I'm just curious of how you kept convincing yourself of the possibility of some of these things where like there is belief and then there's realism, and sometimes those things don't always blend together.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's very true. Like here's an example. If if you're just getting into weightlifting and you go into the gym and you put 315 on the bench bar and you think you're going to go in there and do some reps, you're going to get crushed, right? That's an exaggerated, example, but that's kind of the same thing. Like going through college, I had been, let's go back even further, going to high school, I'm building myself up, have a great high school career, and have, a bunch of success in high school. Don't get any really big opportunities, but still have the mindset, still have the want to go out there and continue to better myself. Get an opportunity in college. I go into Western Colorado, start from as a freshman, build myself up, become a team captain as a freshman. I live in the weight room. I live in the library. I'm learning. I'm putting myself forward. I'm continuing to be a better leader every single year. I'm building up my capabilities for the next opportunity that's to come. I don't know if it's going to be in football. I think it's going to be out in real estate in that market and building up my entrepreneur self. But at the same time, I'm building up my capabilities. So it doesn't mean that it only can go in one direction. It can go in a lot of different directions. So for myself, I was never questioning myself. I did question if the result was going to turn out one way or another. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I know in my heart, I'm in a place where I could be in a position where I'm going to put everything in. And I think this is something that's feasible for myself because of what I've been through and what I've built up to. And so now I'm here going into pro day and stuff like that. And I'm ready to go. I've done the techniques. I've done the reps. I put it in, pro day, boom, go crush it. What's the next step? Well, now it's trying to see if we can get on a team, immerse myself in. I block out everything else. This is a huge opportunity. I'm gonna put everything in my ounce of my energy to make sure that I put everything on the table. So at the end of the day, there was nothing else I could have done. And so that's how I've approached it. Hey, there's an opportunity that comes. If you built yourself up to be able to obtain that next one, it'll present itself. If you have it, it's probably not going to present itself.
Once Austin realized that the NFL was a real possibility, he shifted his entire focus to making the league. He even dropped out of college before his final semester so that he could move to Denver to train with other athletes in his draft class. But come springtime, no team was willing to take a flyer on a 5'8" Division II running back. So Austin signed a 3-year, $1.66 million deal as an undrafted free agent with the Los Angeles Chargers. But still, nothing was guaranteed besides his $5,000 signing bonus, especially since he was entering 2017 training camp as 6 on the depth chart. But if you've learned anything by now, it should be that Austin wasn't about to be deterred.
I'm curious, once you get to the NFL, I love the story of you being a six-stringer, Anthony Lynn not knowing your name. Did you find that, and you also tell a story about how your favorite stat is your rookie year, you led the NFL in tackles on punt returns. Was there a moment where you're like, your enthusiasm, do you think it rubs people the wrong way sometimes? I know that might be an interesting question, but you're like such an intense guy. I'll use the term try hard and I don't mean it as a pejorative, but do you think there was a moment in the NFL where some guys are like, this guy's trying like too hard in practice and you're out there just trying to make the team? But I just wonder how that enthusiasm meshes at different levels.
I've definitely been labeled as intense, try hard for sure, direct. Because I'm not BSing. Like I'm cutting to the chase. I'm trying to get stuff done. I'm trying to go in this direction. I'm trying to go forward. And I don't really have a lot of tolerance for a lot of other BS around me. That's because I'm on a mission. Look, I have this one life. I'm gonna try to maximize it in the way that I see as fulfilling to myself. And so I don't really have a lot of tolerance for anything outside of that. And if not on that mission or helping me in that mission, it's tough for me to keep you around. And that's just where I'm at. That's where my life's at, and that's where I'm trying to go. Because I'm trying to continue, like I said, increase my capabilities, make that impact. So people probably get rubbed the wrong way because they think I'm super intense and maybe taking it way too seriously. Because it's like, to me, I'm not just playing football. Like, yeah, I play in the NFL. This is not just football. This is a whole lifestyle. This is a whole trajectory of my future. This is, my longevity for my family. This is so much more than just playing a game. And so if you just take it like, oh, I'm just playing a game, hanging out, having fun, woo, yeah, you're probably not gonna like me because that's not how I take this. I ain't just playing a game out here. This is not a game. This is a whole flipping mentality. This is a whole mindset. This is a whole lifestyle that I'm trying to put in direction and move forward.
I want to pull at this business thread a little bit. So you get in the NFL, you get your first check, you're on the rookie minimum, you're an undrafted guy, so you're making far less than most of the other guys on your team. When do you first feel comfortable?
Whoa. Well, let's back up there because I think okay. What is it like? it's like 65% of the league is on minimum. So let's,
Okay.
Most guys are making minimum. So you just don't hear about that because what do you hear about? No one wants to hear about, oh, we got another guy making minimum, right? They want to see the 50 million. They want to see, the $20 million deals, So anyway, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I think it goes, I've gotten to know Kurt Benker quite a bit, and he's a testament to one of these guys where it's like, some things just didn't break his way and he didn't get his shot, but he's also in the league for longer than 2.8 years, which is the average for most guys. And that's an accomplishment. And of course he opens himself up to having a lot of guys talk back at him where it's like his only regular season stat is 1 kneel down. So it's -1 rushing yard, but it's like to be in that position in the first place is more than most people can say. And you're right. Most guys in the league are on the league minimum anyway, So you get to the, you're on the league minimum. It's not as much money as some of the guys on your team. When do you first feel comfortable to spend that money? Because I'm sure, maybe explain the moment that check hit, and I'm sure it's more money than you ever had before. And then you strike me as a guy that was calculated with how he spent it, but what did you have planned for that money, and when did you feel comfortable actually spending it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, just in this short conversation of you learning more about me, you probably can tell where I put my money. I went straight to real estate, man. Like, what do I know? What have I learned? What have I made connections in? What was I trying to go to? Real estate. That's what I was trying to go, because where was my mind at? It never left. My mind never left the entrepreneur journey of me trying to build something that's going to last longer than myself and provide for myself. And so immediately, I mean, it was after the first year, I let all that money accumulate because I didn't know what I wanted to do right during season. I wanted to get some more opportunities, but then started right after that year deploying it into real estate, and then also got a financial team to help me start putting together a portfolio that can last over the long term and get me through just rookie year, basically, because I didn't know what was going to come beyond that. Didn't know I was going to be in the NFL, but it was what I have right now. So, hey, we have these resources. Help me in this short term, kind of be conservative with it. And then we can try to, maybe move it around, after I'm done playing. So it didn't take long. Did not take long, but that's because I already had a plan of what I wanted to start investing and getting myself into when it came to capital.
Sure. So you sit on it for a year. Is the first purchase, are you buying a house? Is it a condo development? Like where does that?
So I didn't have a car. So I used to Uber to practice. I gave my truck to my little brother who had just gotten into high school. So I didn't have a car. So I'm Ubering to the facility. Well, first of all, they have a shuttle. So the shuttle was great. But when I made the team, there's no more shuttle from like the hotel. So I'd get an Uber for like really for the first month. And then I finally played a few games and got a few game checks and then went and bought a car. So that was my first ever purchase, was a car. And then pretty much after that, it was just like, my apartment rent was my biggest expense after that. And then I bought a PC that was like $5,000. It was like a decked out gaming PC. I was big into like streaming and stuff like that. So I started to tap into that world a little bit more too. So those are like my first bigger purchases, I guess.
At this point, how are you planning for your money? So you talked about, you told the financial team to be conservative with the money you have. Are you thinking this is going to be a 2.8 year career for me? Like I'm going to be kind of an average guy. I have to plan accordingly. Or are you projecting out, you have the self-belief that you're like, hey, look, I think I can do this for 7 years. That probably means I'm going to make X amount of money. I'm going to plan like that. Like, how are you proportioning your money your first couple of years?
I had no idea. I had no idea what to expect. Think of it. I went to a Division II school, no one ever gone to the NFL from there. I made it on an NFL team. I'm finally on an NFL team. I'm doing special teams. I start to have success on special teams. So I'm starting to see like, okay, like maybe I can have a little stickiness here. Finally start putting me in on offense, started scoring touchdowns. All right, seems like I can belong. I belong here. Like I have some rhythm that's being built here with myself and adding value. And that's when I was like, okay, like this is going to be something that's probably going to get me through, the next couple of years. I'll probably have an opportunity. But in the time, you don't think about that. Even like right now, I'm not thinking about next year. I'm thinking about right now. Because as you know, NFL players are judged on our previous season. Right now, not only to the fans and to the fantasy and the sports bettors, but to ownership, right, and the GMs as well. What did you do for me last year? Because that's what I want to pay you on, and that's what you can get. You could have 3 terrible years, ball out in your 4th year, and go get paid, a new max contract. So timing is everything. So for me, it's 1 year at a time. And I don't know. I'm just here. I'm going through camp. I'm going through years, and I'm starting to stack them up. Everything, capital's starting to stack up.
Now, Austin ended up earning every penny of his 4-year, $24.5 million contract extension with the Chargers. In fact, thanks to the bonuses built into his contract, he actually made an extra $1 million on top of that. And as he became the highest earning Division II running back in NFL history, he began to think of ways he could supplement his on-field income. But he learned he'd have to be patient.
Yeah, was I trying to supplement, my income by buying real estate and using that? But it wasn't even about that. It was about, is there an opportunity to buy? I wasn't buying based off of how much money I want to earn. It's really hard to go down that route because obviously you want to earn as much as you possibly can. Well, do you have the capital to do that? Do you have the deals to do that? Like you have to have it. You can, I'm not just going out and buying random stuff out here. You're going to lose money at the end of the day if you go do that. Like you got to actually find deals. You have to have people that can find deals. If it's a deal, why is it a deal? It's probably broken down, or it's probably some, weird zoning that you can't do something, about it. Like there's some reason that it's a deal. It's rare when you can find deals like, hey, maybe there's an older person they need to liquidate now. Those come around every once in a while about some stuff like that. Most of my deals have been flips. We gotta update these things so we can go in there and buy them cheap. So I started getting into a relationship with a house flipper, and we were building ourselves up. They were building them up. When I mean build myself up, I'm building up capital. He's out here already in my area. He was flipping homes, and I went to him. I had a relationship with him. I was like, look, would love to buy any multifamily homes that you flip in this area. I want you to cut me a deal, but anyone that you flip in there, I'll buy from you. And so we did that, and that's how I got my first 30 units. And so my first 30 units came directly from this guy. He gave me a deal. I was an immediate buy for him. Boom. So he knew he was going to make money. He already had it, planned out. I'm going to make money from all of these different places. And then, did that took over a few years. This isn't quick things. These don't get flipped overnight. Wanted to scale bigger, actually became a partner with that guy. His name's Matt. And then we went and bought a mass foreclosure out in Missouri, and it was 65 homes, and they all needed flipped. So we're out here mass flipping. We're keeping some. We're 1031ing some into bigger ones. We're selling some off. So it's just the strategic play of working the real estate game.
Do you remember the first significant amount of money you made outside of a game check, whether it be brand deal, endorsement, house flipping? Do you remember a moment like that?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, it's been kind of a transcending kind of, I guess, progression, so to speak, where like my first ever brand deal was for $2,500. I did a meet and greet at Bob's Furniture out in Orange County. So that was my first ever endorsement deal. Shout out to Bob's Furniture for securing me my first ever endorsement. I think 3 people showed up to that thing, by the way. No one knew who the heck I was. One of them was my mother. So to tell you that right there.
Was that your first year? Was that undrafted rookie Austin Ekeler?
Yeah, that was undrafted rookie Austin Ekeler. People don't know who the heck this guy is. Before I even scored a touchdown, before I had like the celebration, all of that. Before I'm on your fantasy, yeah, that was back, way back in the day. But then as I started to have success, started to get attention from more brands that I was actually more passionate about, and made some longer term commitments with, and then also, right, obviously the capital starts going up with that as well.
What does the pie chart of the business of Austin Ekeler look like right now?
Ooh, pie chart of the business of Austin Ekeler. So I would say about 40% of my portfolio is in real estate. 50% would be in kind of more structured products, mutual funds, S&P, stuff like that. Some just straight up structured products. And then there's like this sliver of like the other last 10% that goes into like all my entrepreneur journey, like projects, like my app experience, foundation, Pro Athlete Ventures when we had that going on, X Games, my streaming, like all these other things that I'm doing out here on the side, like kind of like going back to my college days when I was doing the fishing show and the weight, like all of those things is kind of like the 10% sliver of my portfolio. And so the goal is to live off of the 90% and then, have some fun with this last 10% while I'm still out here young and have a lot of energy.
Now, you might have caught that Austin just mentioned an app called Experience, and this is important because while it may only take up less than 10% of his entire portfolio, it's also these types of projects that turn professional athletes from millionaires into billionaires. And even though I had done a ton of research on this guy, I'd heard very little about this project in particular, until now.
Quick story, Experience is a fan engagement app where we're taking fan engagement, not just like getting a shout out or anything, but you can actually become a part of the journey of a player. Like if you wanted to be someone that I actually recognize, I know, you can go tap into Experience. And one of the engagements that we're bringing out is called Fan Mail. And so with Fan Mail, it's a unique play off of just the signing and memorabilia play, because signing memorabilia has been so old, like it's such an old market. Hasn't really evolved in ever, there's like an NFT type of, thing for a short spurt, but I'm like, okay, how can I get these people that have all these jerseys access to actually get their stuff signed? I do a signing usually once a year, or you gotta like see me on the sideline at training camp, or maybe like, scream at me at a game, and it's like probably not very good odds because I'm locked in trying to go do my job. And so with Fan Mail, you can actually send in items from a list. It's like jerseys, cards, posters, things like that, to whoever's offering it. And if they're offering it, we'll get it facilitated for you, and then we'll also get it sent back to you. So it's a new feature. We're going to be starting out with my team, with Washington for now, not bringing it out to anyone else yet until we get some just testing done with it. But gonna get a new opportunity for people to get their stuff signed.
I was listening to an interview you did with Graham Stephan, and you mentioned the moment you realized that you could buy your own game jersey for something like $300, and then you could essentially sell it for $4,000. Like, is there a line from that realization to this feature on Experience?
Well, I think just like I have a box of all my game jerseys, and I just love to go back and just like look at them. Well, I don't go back and like pull them out, but like I see the box over there, and there's so much like history in that box. And I know in the future, when my name's not as relevant, there'll still be history in those jerseys. And so I wanted to have those jerseys for who knows what opportunity in the future, whether it's, a business partner or a friend that I meet. I'll be able to send those out to people that I feel are worthy of giving them a jersey. And hopefully I can continue to push up that value, but it's something that I can hold true to my heart that is a real, I guess, symbol of, hey, like, I appreciate you. Here's a game jersey that I went through blood, sweat, and tears,
Yeah, tell me a bit about that production process. How long has Experience been in the work, and what kind of capital has gone into it?
Oh, yeah. So we've been working on it for about 3 years now. So a lot of capital's gone into it. I don't know the exact number because we had a write-off. So we made a pivot. And in the tech space, if you make a pivot and you have sunk cost, you can actually write those off. So we wrote off like 80% of like a 6-figure check that had gone into this. So it kind of skews the numbers of how much has gone in. But we're definitely looking like approaching 7 figures. But this is not a small project. We're trying to change the game with what we're doing over here with the Experience. So it's been a significant amount of time, energy, teams. I've basically been the CEO of this thing for the past few years. Have had people hired, fired, switch management, switch development. Taught me so much. Kind of going back to what my first mission was that we talked about, was increasing my capabilities. Football, I've kind of encompassed that. I know how to be a professional football player. Now I'm starting to learn how to be a business owner out here and be able to, move and pivot and build in the tech space in particular. So it's been one of the most fulfilling things in the last decade for myself.
As you look back, I'm curious if there are more examples of places that you put your money that didn't work out. I'm interested in your story, and I think there's a really good story here to tell. But I don't think it's as good of a story if there aren't times where you're like, I put money here, that didn't work out, I really fucked up, and I learned from it. So are there any moments like that where you look back and you're like, that one kind of bit me?
Ooh, you actually, with that question, you actually kind of prompted like the best piece of advice that I think I could give to especially earlier founders. And that's to invest in your money. Like, yes, if I've invested in like a prop bet company over here or in a media company over there, and maybe it'll turn out, maybe it won't. My best investment probably to this day is Liquid Death that I got in on. Liquid Death's like the water company, if you know who they are. Some work out, the other ones maybe not. I invested in a lamp company one time. definitely did not work out. So some just things I had connections to. But here's the thing, those ones I'm always like, yeah, hopefully it pans out and I hope it does well. But the ones that I've never regretted, even if I've lost money, is the things that I was in control of or the things that I was involved in. Like when I invested money where I was in that space, I might have lost thousands of dollars, but it was something that now I feel like that I paid thousands of dollars to learn that lesson, you know? Or on the flip side, you're involved in it, you can now learn, but now it benefits you if you do well, and you have the insight of how it's doing. How is it doing? You know, you're working on it. So especially early on, I would continue just to use that. If you're going to look for investments and actually deploy money, if there's something that you're involved in, or maybe you have a side hustle and want to get involved in, or someone else's side hustle, I would definitely recommend getting yourself involved to some capacity. You might not be the expert, but you might be able to be advisor, you know, and come in some capacity with some capital, and you want to have some type of role. But being able to be on the inside of the company when you're in your investment, especially early on, I think is so valuable because you learn so many different lessons, and even just how to even evaluate a company. Like you can go and invest in others. I didn't know anything about investing in these other companies. I'm investing in them. Now, knowing what I know now, I'm like, okay, now I would take a different approach. I would ask different questions because I've been on the inside of one now.
To date, Austin Ekeler has made $27.2 million playing football, the most any Division II running back has ever earned in the NFL. But it's the money he's going to make that I find far more impressive. Let's say conservatively, Austin has saved half of his career earnings, or around $13 million so far. If he never makes another penny from endorsements or the NFL and just averages an 8% return on his money every year, he'll make over $1 million per year for the rest of his life. Not bad for a kid from Eaton, Colorado. A special thanks to Austin for sitting down with me. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another one of these sports business interviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.